Start the meeting.
Oh, I started?
I don't know if you
Send a
started.
copy of the meeting minutes and the agenda, I guess. Yeah.
You have it electronically?
We can.
But I didn't sit over there.
I can see you.
I just didn't know this is set up.
Can I get an email to send this to?
I haven't really. I've been doing the bites.
It's Chris_Wood at primeres.com. CHRIS_WOOD at PRIMERES.com.
Chris_Wood at primeres.com. Is that correct?
That's correct.
Okay.
Get started anyway and come back to the minutes after you guys time to look at it. Okay. Hey, Chris, we'll just get started then and we'll just come back to the minutes after you get a chance to review them, if that's all right with you.
Sounds great. Thank you.
All right, so we'll call the meeting to order and then we will look at the minutes after Chris has had a chance to review them here in a little bit. The only thing on the agenda today is actually a project that I'm involved with the electric co-op and the old city hall building. The city has reached out and been discussing with the electric co-op the possibility of taking over the old city hall building, having it donated through the LEDA process to the electric co-op in hopes of doing something nice with it. The electric co-op and Sarah has known this, and that's what led to the discussion. We've pretty much outgrown our footprint, and we've been looking at moving outside of town. But of course, we'd have to sell our building, can't really find a buyer, haven't been able to really find anything outside of town. A lot of our trade is done inside the city limits, which I think is good for the city when we receive our materials and whatnot. At the electric co-op. So there's some benefit for us staying in town for the city and for the electric co-op not having to move. And so Sarah was aware of that and thought, well, this might be an opportunity for you guys to be able to expand your footprint a little bit. What we need to do is build some new buildings somewhere, probably in our current parking lot. And so what we were hoping to do is take the old city hall building, demolish it, take care of all the environmental issues that it has and demolish it. And then make a really nice parking lot there that we would decorate to be pleasing to the passerbyers. And we thought that what we would do is take a portion of that and use it as parking for the electric co-op, and then take the other portion of it, and use it for public parking. And so Sarah has asked us, said that the caveat is that the city's looking into this, and through the discussions, they'd like to see some electric vehicle charging stations there.
Yes.
And so we'd be willing to put in some electric vehicle charging there for public use. So we'd probably do 2 to 4 units there and see how that goes. And then if we need to expand later, we can. And so what we were proposing to do is put some level 2 chargers there. And then we would also put some signage out in a green area. I don't know that it'd technically be green, but through our landscaping, we put some signage out there that would direct people to downtown businesses as they're charging, and probably put like park bench or whatnot there and give people a place to sit and eat a sandwich as they're charging. So hoping to do something nice with that building rather than just sit there, especially knowing the environmental issues that it has. We've done our study on that, and see if we can make something nice out of it. So really, that's the only thing on the agenda today.
Eric, you and I have talked about this in the past. And personally, I think the idea, I think there could be additional public parking. I'm worried about people getting in and out of their vehicles at the post office. I'm surprised we haven't had somebody knock off yet. But But more importantly, I think the idea of the charging stations is a great idea. I think it's an opportunity to get some people downtown. We've got, we've got some businesses down there. We got the stop, the charge. We've got 3 or 4 options to go get something to eat while that goes on. I know state of New Mexico is looking at some point in time requiring local governments to purchase electric vehicles. And there's kind of a little study going on right now with the New Mexico Municipal League. And one of the issues as they travel for the self-insurance fund is they have bought Ford Lightning. I was there the other day and had to go to Artesia. And the issue was, where do they get the charge between Santa Fe and Artesia? And they showed me this app that if you're driving one of these vehicles and you're going these distances, you plot your trip around where I can go and what that charge. For example, Allsup's in Vaughn has 2, I think, chargers on the east side. The app tells them what kind of chargers they are, how long they can expect that to charge. I just see that if we had that opportunity with Dallas, we could become a little destination for someone that's planning Amarillo or Roswell, Amarillo, Las Cruces. And then we've got that opportunity downtown for them to grab by the way you mentioned it. I just think this is a really good idea. And I think it helps everybody.
Well, have you guys looked into it enough? Do you know how many parking spots will be like for the public? What will be reserved for the co-op?
We hadn't looked at specific parking spot numbers, but the preliminary design right now is to do something very similar to what's across the street from JP Stone. And use that red crushed rock, put that in the center. And we're thinking about making a square shape out of it, mainly to save a little bit on some concrete costs, by not having to do the entire parking lot. Make sure there's plenty of space. What our thoughts was initially is that we'd use the north quarter of it, and then the other 3 quarters. We want to leave some room definitely for the post office, and then we thought that there could be some nice parking that comes down Main Street up to that stoplight. And then of course it'd be the public charging the First Street side.
Do you think you could vacate that entrance that comes in from the south off of First Street and give you some additional parking up near the post office? You know what I'm saying? Which was there, that was access to get to City Hall and the post office.
Well, and we think we can actually gain a little bit more space by vacating the alleyway there. And if we can do that and talk to the post office, we would like to make it to where you come in on that entrance right there, and then that starts your clockwise drive around the parking lot. But if we can vacate that alleyway, we can co-op parking closer to the building. Our plan is, the second step would be that we would go and redo the side of the wall there to make a public facing facade that looks a little nicer and make it look like our entrance wouldn't change, but the First Street facing inside of the building would be redone and look a little nicer, so it's more public pleasing than it is right now in the alleyway. And create a little bit more space doing that, and hopefully put in a little drive-through in for the neighbors to be able to make the things.
Yes. Sorry.
Hey, Eric. I'm sorry. I didn't mean to jump in. Eric, before we get too far off the topic, can you explain to the committee the difference between a level 1, level 2, level 3 chargers? How long it takes to charge and things like that. My concern is, I drive an EV, and so I'm a little bit familiar with the difference on them, but my concern is that a level 2 charger is going to take hours and hours and hours to put any significant miles back on your average EV, and that's the EVs that are being produced today. And so I just feel like, a level 2 charger is probably not going to be a destination that people seek out unless they're planning on spending the night downtown. And if so, then that's not really the place to have a level 2 charger. That would be more like a hotel or something like that. Can you kind of explain that to the committee who may not be familiar with the difference?
Definitely. So we'll start with the level 3 charger, which is not very commonly used at all. But you can actually plug an EV into a wall socket. Probably take you 3 or 4 days to charge up. So if they're not utilized, that's a level 3 charger. A level 2 charger to charge from empty to 80%, and EV charging is going to be different than filling up your gas tank. The way batteries charge up, they charge up very rapidly up to about 80%, and then that last 20% takes quite a long time. And so usually when you're charging, you wouldn't plan to go all the way to full or to 100%, you plan to go to 80% on your route. So a level 2 charger to go from empty to 80%, probably anywhere from 4 to 6 hours. If you wanted to get all the way to 100%, and I'm talking the smaller EVs, a Ford Lightning may take even longer, but to go all the way to 100%, probably about 8 hours, 8 to 9. And so Chris is right, but the level 1 chargers can charge anywhere from 20 minutes to get to your 80%, or even sometimes an hour, depending on how many vehicles are parked at it, how many are charging. One of the issues that people are seeing now is the original infrastructure that's been put out for level 1 chargers is already too small. And so what was supposed to be 20 minutes for a little Tesla may take an hour and a half for a Ford Lightning. And so they're already going back through and rethinking, well, these chargers need to be a lot bigger, knowing that these SUVs and trucks are coming down, get them down to the 20-minute time frame. And so Chris is right. We're probably not going to be charging a Tesla up in 20 minutes. But the reason that we are not interested in the level 1 charger there, we don't know the electrical infrastructure in town. And so we'd be on SPS or XL system. And there's high billing components that go into that, and that'd be another hour-long discussion. But when you set a demand, you can set a demand up to a $1,200 charge, $1,200 bill for that charging station off of just one charge, and then you're hoping the rest of the month that other people can charge to offset that $1,200. Now, if it was an RCEC system, we'd most definitely be interested in level 1 charger, because we could control our demand charges, and we could control the flow rate and whatnot. Being that it's not our utility system, level 2 is what we're most comfortable with. And so even though you wouldn't be charging a Tesla up in 20 minutes, I do think there's some benefit to it, Chris, because I think, I've seen a lot of EVs, especially around the courthouse and down by the district attorney's office that are coming into town. And I think that, a lot of these people are coming in currently that have EVs are heading to court or have business downtown, and you see those vehicles sitting there for 3 or 4 hours, and that's still 3 or 4 hours they can charge.
My question was, and I know you touched on this a little bit, but why does LEDA need to be involved in the transaction? We know it's a building that the city doesn't want and can't really afford to do much with. And we know that you're looking for land, but this would not be your optimal choice, something that will be very expensive to handle.
Well, I don't really know why we're in the lead process, other than I've been told this is the proper route to go. The city's looked into it, Sarah's looked into it.
Well, if it was just a direct transaction, we would be in direct violation of the Anti-Donation Act. So going through the LEDA process and I think there is some economic benefit to this, to the city, with regard to what we need downtown. So the LEDA process gets us around that anti-donation.
So would essentially the location be donated to LEDA from the city?
I think it's through the LEDA process directly to what you have.
Yeah, it's,
What is the mechanics of it? I'm just trying to understand.
so, we're going to request, from the council that we can donate the old city hall. But it's going to be through, RCCBC, so kind of a fiscal agent type of thing. And so with it being the economic vitality that it is going to give to the town, then that's where LEDA comes in. Similar to, possibly similar to, this is me wrapping my mind around it a little bit, possibly similar to the Fun Center.
Similar to the Fun Center, and also probably similar to the hotel. Which is exactly the same process that we're talking about.
And I know Jody checked with Kevin Wilson to see if this was the proper about, he agreed that it is.
My question though, does it go to the RCCDC and then is there another process for the RCCDC to the co-op? So I'm saying, because, and I wasn't here when the fund center went through. But I didn't see anything where it went to us and then to, but.
I believe though that that's the proper way.
Right.
I mean, this is the process, and then once it's there, the intent would be, the whole thing is yes, ultimately, the city wants RCEC to have it. The proper way is to go through you, and then through the economic development, it goes to that. I'm pretty sure that's the way the fund center happened. I'm pretty sure that's the way the hotel happened. Because you guys had the hotel for a long time.
Okay, so it would, just didn't know if it was a direct transaction.
And we can definitely look further into this and then get back to you on that, if everybody's comfortable with that.
You definitely don't want to tell.
I think it was just the donated through the LEDA process, but I don't think it ever went to RCCDC and then to the next thing. I think it was through LEDA, but not through RCCDC necessarily.
That could be a good.
My first thought was the hotel. I knew that's the way we did it.
Yes, that makes sense.
So the biggest benefit to the city by doing this is basically the city does not have to pay for the cost of demolition of the building or for construction of the parking lot, but we'll still have public parking available by this project. Is that the biggest benefit, or am I missing something?
Chris, I'll answer on behalf of what I think the benefit to the city is, and I think you touched on that. And then the residual benefit would be these charging stations if people choose to use them, and you know, if they are traveling through town, or for that matter, even if they're just, it's a reason for them to be downtown for, you know, an amount of time that hopefully, you know, they patronize the downtown businesses while they're waiting. But there's definitely a need for public parking. There's definitely a need for that building to no longer be there. And you know, just quite honestly, the city's not in a position to do that. And the other benefit, as I think Eric pointed out, is if this helps RCEC to remain downtown and part of the community downtown, that's also a benefit to the community and to the city.
Okay, thank you. And last question is, Eric, are you going to charge for the EV charging? Is that going to be a revenue stream, or is that something that's going to be a free service?
No, we would have to charge for it. I don't know exactly what those rates would be yet. And I don't really foresee that it'd be a large revenue stream for the co-op. But we definitely need to at least recoup our costs. As far as our the bills that we're charged. So.
Gotcha.
Any other discussion?
I would just say that if we can nail down exactly the process, is it a direct to LEDA, through LEDA directly to, we have to go through the Economic Development Board?
I can do that. We can look into that.
If there's no further discussion, I would make a recommendation that this committee make a recommendation to the full council to move forward with this application.
I will second that recommended.
We have a motion that's been seconded for this committee to recommend this project proceed to the full council for their consideration and approval. I will not be voting But I'll ask everyone else, so do I need to go with roll call? Or- All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Alright, motion passes. Let's go back to item number 2. Chris, have you had a chance to view the minutes? Review the minutes?
Yes, I was able to scan through them. I'm ready to vote.
I will move for approval of the minute for the August 9th, 2023 meeting.
Motion made and seconded to approve the minutes from the August 9th, 2023 meeting. All those in favor say aye. Any opposed?
Aye.
Motion passes. Were you opposed or were you, you're delayed a little bit, Chris? I'm
Sorry, I was
assuming
a
you were
little
not.
late, but I was not opposed to the motion.
Any other business? Yeah, Jody would like to see if there's an update from the city for the allocation of funding, that was approved, for,
We're just gonna
Oh.
update on that.
oh, okay, I'm sorry. You talking about, you were with Sarah and myself.
Yeah, so well, normally Maryland would give us the LEDA and where we are, so like the last one, we were at
Sarah said there would not be a financial review today.
no financial review.
No, not today.
The other business.